YouTubers? This is Kevin from Survivor Super Fun Time Show. And guess what? Season 50, finally, the atom bomb of all casting choices has finally dropped on all of us Survivor fans right now. And we are feeling the fallout of this right now. Now, myself, I paid attention to some of the leaks and stuff. I usually don't, by the way. It's just that it was impossible to avoid them on Twitter. It was impossible. Plus, it was the first returnee season since, Edge of Extinction. So there's a lot of hoopla. First one of the new era. So a lot of people are really curious about this, and we got our answer. But I want to make a thorough response to each and every one of these players. Before anyone tries to tell you otherwise, I want to give you a heads up. This cast is an objectively amazing cast. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying through their teeth, or they have insane bias toward, a certain amount of players. And that makes sense. There's a player right now, I'll tell you, I'm devastated didn't make it, Jonathan Penner. But I always knew that it was very possible he would not be on the cast. Or Lex Vandenberg from Survivor Africa. I love that guy. I wish he had gotten another shot. However, just because Lex didn't make it and Coach did, doesn't mean it's going to be a bad season. Coach is always going to be good TV. Every one of these people is going to be good TV. Some of them are a little bit more of a snoozers, and some of them I don't love, but they're going to give you a good game of Survivor. So before I get into it, remember, that is what you're going to get, okay? As long as Jeff Probst doesn't screw with the formula too much. And before I dive wholly into it, make sure to hit the subscribe button to this channel because I love making content for Survivor fans like myself, and I would love to yap about it with you as much as I can. I'm actually planning to have a series of debates over the course of the summer, the off season for Survivor, and I would love it if people would like to participate. Basically live stream style. I'm going to say, hey, here's a topic. I want you to be the pro side. I want you to be the against side. And maybe we'll flip-flop around. It'd be pretty exciting stuff, I hope. And it'd be great. So make sure to subscribe to see those in the future. All right, so getting into the video, I think it's probably only fair that we go from the OGs to the new era, because I feel like there's more data on the new era folks, and the OGs, maybe there's a little bit more explanation. So we'll start off with the original one, Jenna Lewis from Survivor Borneo. Survivor Borneo is obviously very storied in the history of Survivor. If you were to watch it now, a new fan, you would say this is some of the most boring crap that's ever been seen in the history of ever. And that's because Survivor was documentary style back then. It was supposed to be what's really like for life for people living on a deserted island. And we saw a lot of crazy characters. Greg Buis talking on, a coconut phone. Jervis playing cards, calling women cows and stuff. And then you have, other people like Jenna Lewis, who was playing a good social game, but the idea of alliances really turning on one another, that really wasn't a thing back in the day. Jenna Lewis was best known in her original season for crying about not getting a home video, and she was the only one. Then she was given the opportunity to come back for Survivor All-Stars, and boy, did she blow it out of the goddamn water. She was someone who got put onto the season when I was a kid. I was like 12, 13, 14, something like that. And I was like, why is Jenna Lewis here? Other than being from the original season, I didn't understand why she would make it. And she was on one of the most pathetic tribes of all time, Saboga. That's the one where Rupert built the crappy shelter in the sand that caused it to flood and Jerry Manthe to cry and all that kind of stuff. But in Survivor All-Stars, for those who don't remember, she did great. She made the top 4, and largely because she hitched a wagon to Rupert and they hitched a wagon to Rob and Amber, which seemed to be the secret to success that season. But strategically, she was on it right away. She was like, oh yeah, the winners, they're going to be gone from our tribe. Ethan, who she dated in real life, is like, yeah, he's going to go at some point. So don't even imagine you're going to stay. And Tina Wesson went instantly because Jenna Lewis was really kind of pulling the strings in Saboga at that point. So I have a lot of faith based on her performance in All-Stars. Go back and watch that she can bring it entirely for a season 50. I'm going to make a bold proclamation. I think Jenna Lewis is probably going to be the most surprising OG player that's going to be on this season. She's got a really good mind. She's got a sharp tongue. That's for absolutely sure. And if she's kept in any kind of shape, she's going to do well in challenges. And fun fact for all you Rob is a podcast nerds out there, back in the day when I was like 15 years old, Rob as a podcast wasn't a thing, but he was a host online on another podcast for a website called thefishbowl.com. And that's when baby Rob Cesternino was learning to get rid of his stutters and his ers and ahs. Hey, it happens to the best of us. And he was doing it with the co-host, Jenna Lewis. So they actually co-hosted kind of a Survivor recap show each week. And Jenna Lewis was amazing on it. So I don't think you can find those episodes anymore, but I just want to let you know, if you're a Rob is a Podcast fan, you probably should be lending your support to Jenna Lewis, because she's partially responsible for the reason why Rob got to where he is right now in his career. So way to go, Jenna. All right, from the Australian outback, Colby Donaldson, the Texan, the original, I guess, as Jeff called him, the Golden Boy, which, by the way, he was also Jeff Probst's best friend for ages and ages. I don't know if he still is, but they're on good terms at least, right? He's coming from the Australian outback. He's one of the holders of the coveted 5 immunity necklaces in a single season that Jeff had mentioned in Survivor 48 that Joe had a shot at tying, which he didn't, of course. But he's one of the most dominant challenge players in the history of the game. Now, he's already played 3 times, so this is going to be his 4th. First time was the best one. Second time was horrible. Third time, pretty good, actually, in Heroes versus Villains. So how will he look in this one? How will he look in season 50? I'm not betting he's going to be anything super amazing. He's never had any kind of major strategic, brilliant mind. I mean, one of his most devious strategic plans was related to the note that JT gave to Russell Hantz with the immunity idol. So you can imagine his prowess and strategy is not exactly his number one highlight. But he's always been a strong guy. He's one of the most famous players in the history of the game. I mean, when I hear the name Colby, I always think of Colby Donaldson. And, for a little while, he was actually a legitimate star. He was in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, one of my favorite shows. It's brilliant. Go look up the clip. And he was actually the host of another reality show called Top Shot. And he was awesome. He's actually my pick. If Jeff were to hang it up, he's my pick to be the host of Survivor. Colby Donaldson is the guy you should be looking for. And hopefully when we watch this version of Survivor, Colby's going to do okay. And hopefully we get to see a good showing from the old man. Now, the next representative is from Survivor 10, or Survivor Plow, as Jeff Probst was not willing to tell you. It is Stephenie LaGrossa Kendrick. She was a beast back in the day. Survivor fans right now probably don't realize or understand how popular Stephenie was when she was on her original season. Stephenie LaGrossa was everything. She was the sole survivor of the Oolong tribe. Then, after being voted out in Palau short, she went on to Survivor Guatemala, coming back with her old buddy Bobby John, and she outlasted Bobby John. She outlasted everybody in the game except for the eventual winner, Danielle Boatwright. She was absolutely cutthroat. She was ready to do anything she could to make it to the end of the game and win. And she almost did. She was very, very close. I was actually surprised she didn't beat Danielle Boatwright. But Stephenie did absolutely amazing. She went back for Heroes versus Villains, just like Colby. And unfortunately, it did not go well for Stephenie. She was aligned with Colby Donaldson to start the game, along with Tom Westman. But her other Heroes versus Villains castmate, and now castmate for Survivor 50, Cirie Fields, was not interested in Stephenie being around any longer. So Stephenie was voted out very early in Heroes versus Villains, and she left with a little bit of a tone. And now, if you pay attention to her Instagram, I mean, she's got her former MLB pitcher husband and beautiful family, and she works out all the time. And I'm sure she's still as cruel as ever in the game, just locked in. I mean, she's been on other shows. She's been on The Traitors. She's been in Snake in the Grass, and those haven't really manifested anything. But honestly, I don't think those are games that were really made for her. I don't think she's a great liar. I don't think she's going to be the most deceptive person in the room. However, when she can add her physical prowess and use some quick thinking when it comes to challenges, I think this is going to be her time. And there's definitely a counterpart or two of the New Era cast that I would love to see her square off against. Now, if Jeff Probst would let them physically fight each other in challenges once again, that would make Stephenie even better pick. But no matter what, strategically, she is in a great spot. Well, if you're talking about Stephenie LaGrossa and Heroes versus Villains, I think it's fair we transition for the representative from Survivor 12, Exile Island, aka Cirie Fields, who has played 4 times already. And she has blown it every time. And it's becoming my favorite running gag that Cirie Fields can do amazing. She did awesome in Panama, Exile Island. She did awesome in Micronesia. She did not awesome in Heroes vs. Villains. Thank you, Tom Westman. And she did awesome in Game Changers. She even got voted out without getting voted out, which I've never seen before or since. And she's done other things. She was on Big Brother 25, and she did really well in that, even though she shouldn't have, although she had an unfair advantage of her son playing with her. So she had that. She's played The Traitors and won The Traitors. And she's also about to play Survivor Australia versus the World. So she's going to have 6 versions of Survivor under her belt by the time season 50 is done. 6! And that's pretty huge. No question, she's one of the all-time greats. She's good with people. She can read people really well. She can navigate through BS a hell of a lot, more than most of the people that have ever played the game. And she's going to do great, probably. But there's also a legend of Cirie. The question is, how many people are going to look at her as a bigger target than other folks? On Heroes versus Villains, right away, people like Tom, Stephenie, and Colby looked at Cirie and said, she's dangerous. She's going to get by. She always does. And eventually they did get her out, but people like Rupert, James, Amanda Kimmel, they did not see her in the same way. So I think it's important to think about, because I think there's some new era folks who are going to be like goo goo gaga about Cirie, but some old heads, it's a wrap. Now, another player who's already played 4 times is back for the 5th. We have Ozzy from Survivor Cook Islands. I'm not terribly shocked by this. Ozzy is the challenge king. There's nobody who in the history of Survivor is better at challenges than Ozzy Lust. There's Boston Rob Mariano's probably second. Joe Anglem, probably third. He is number 1, though, by a mile. The thing is, though, he's also like 15, 16, 17 years older than he used to be when he was first on Cook Islands and really kicking ass at an extremely high rate. So I'm not sure that's going to translate through as much. I don't know. I mean, he is the challenge king, Ozzy, but like he's never had a really engaging, super over-the-top personality. I think in Game Changers, it really came out how I think people aren't really dying to work with Ozzy, and he doesn't really have any magic he can pull on anyone that isn't physically related. So I think Ozzy's probably not going to do super well in this game. He may stick around for a little bit for challenges, but that's really it. Otherwise, I'm not sure his cachet is gonna work the same way that it would with newbies like on Survivor South Pacific. He had total control, essentially, of the Savai'i tribe other than Cochrane, and I'm not sure it's going to work out the same way. But props to him, again, he's an all-timer. I mean, having Ozzy, no matter what, puts butts in the seats or puts viewers clicking on the TV and putting up the live streams and all that stuff. So CBS made a good move by adding him. I think a lot of fans are probably fatigued by Ozzy, though, kind of like with Cirie. But I'm thankful to have him on. Again, he's Ozzy, so the Wizard of Oz. And speaking of Ozzy's counterpart from Survivor South Pacific and Survivor Tocantins and Survivor Heroes versus Villains, we have Benjamin, Coach Wade, ready to storm the beach and slay some dragons. Coach is one of the goofiest characters in the history of the game. He's basically as average as it gets from a challenge performance standpoint. He always was. He's not the greatest strategic thinker. He's awesome for quotes and confessionals, however. There's some delusion in there, of course. That's really what makes Coach Coach, and Coach knows that. Coach is someone that I think probably took the place of someone like Jonathan Penner, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video. But Coach is always delivering. Like, he always does great. I mean, Tocantins, strategically, crap. Heroes vs. Villains, it was good until he decided to just totally conk out at the end. And then in South Pacific, it was his game to win. He should have won if he had stuck the landing, which he didn't. He did this honesty, honor, and loyalty bit that just didn't work. And that's why Sophie ended up winning the game, from what I could tell. So he's going to have an uphill battle if he tries that again. But admittedly, I don't think we have anything to worry about. I don't think Coach is winning Survivor 50. But I'm really hopeful that he has a good showing of it, because Coach is a great character no matter what. Now, another player who's going to play for their 4th time on Survivor, we have Aubry Bracco from Survivor Co-Wrong, and also Game Changers and Edge of Extinction. It's really unfortunate to like associate Aubry with being fatigued of someone, because you're like, oh, like what a great overcoming story. She was going to quit in the beginning of Co-Wrong, and now she's parlayed it into 3 seasons of Survivor, where she did, excellent in Co-Wrong. She did good in Game Changers. She did okay in Edge of Extinction. And now I'm like, honestly, Aubrey's one of the people that I would prefer probably not be on the cast. I probably would have preferred Jerry Manthe, even though Jerry Manthe has also played 3-4 times at this point. But why have Colby if you're not going to have Jerry, right? Aubry Bracco, obviously, she's really smart. She's a mentalist to the nth degree. Now she's a mama. So, she's matured even more than she was in the past. Last time I heard her do an interview, like with Talking with T-Bird on Rob as a Podcast, she seemed to be like laissez-faire about the idea of ever playing again. So I was like, as a fan, I'm like, all right, well, you don't want to play. I'm sure there's other people who'd be beating down the door to play. So, but Aubry, I mean, she said, yeah, she's going to bring it. I don't think she does anything half-ass. I assume they're not offering her a huge check in order to play versus other people like Abby Maria or Jerry Manthe. So I can only hope that this new era game of losing votes, going on journeys, a very fast-paced environment is going to favor her. She's brought us a lot of good stuff in the past, and I think there's huge potential for her to do really well in this game. I think she's going to be willing to cut throats. She's going to be willing to work with new era folks, no problem. So I think Aubry's actually going to navigate the game pretty well. One of the people I wanted back so bad from the pre-40 era, Chrissy Hoffbeck from Heroes, Hustlers, and Healers. Chrissy arguably played the best game in Survivor 35. Obviously, Ben played the best game because he won, but there's nothing this woman could have done to make her stance any better in the game with everyone else. She did excellent. If it wasn't for a series of Ben bombs, Chrissy probably would have won the game. And she was excellent. She was an immunity threat. She got 4 immunity necklaces, which is like impossible. She was running the game. She was strategic master. She got to the finals despite being top dog, essentially. She was excellent in every way, and she was wonderfully nice and competitive and strategic. I think her going into the new era, as long as she's physically feeling up to it, because it sounds like maybe there was an illness at some point in the last 2 years. As long as she's physically up to it, I think she's going to kick butt. And she's one of the people that I insisted play Survivor once again. And hopefully she will get to do Final Four fire making with the chance to go to Final Tribal Council. That's how we close a story, Chrissy. That's how we close a story, baby. Another person I was so excited to see on this cast that I wanted back so badly. Christian Hubicki from David vs. Goliath. He is the prototypical nerd now in Survivor. He's usurped Jonathan Cochran, and now the number one nerd in the history of the game is Christian Hubicki. He's a legitimate robotics guy. He can break down strategy, no problem. He's got wonderful cadence. His confessionals are amazing. He's built for New Era Survivor. He can understand, he can run the algorithm so quickly in his very Jim Carrey, Riddler-esque type mind. I can't wait to see it happen, honestly. I think it's going to be so awesome, the idea of him going to a journey, whether to risk his vote or not, unless it's that bullshit dice game where there's really no risk, you just roll die. That would be unfortunate. But I think he's going to have such a major impact, and he's going to be so fun to see play this game. He's going to get allies quickly, and then he's going to get a lot of enemies quickly too, because people are going to say, he's too smart. We need to get rid of him. All he wants to do is play in the sand with you. So just please give him a chance, won't you? Someone I was not excited about is the next person from David vs. Goliath, Angelina Keeley. I did not care for Angelina on David vs. Goliath. I thought she was abrasive. I thought, honestly, a little irritating, if we're being pretty frank about it. But I think that's why people like her so much. There's this portion of the internet that says, oh, we love a messy queen. You know, that's why they love Venus from Survivor 46, even though she really just annoyed people and it didn't help her game in any way at all. Angelina, there were moments where I was like, ugh. You know, the jacket thing with Natalie is objectively all-time moment. It's up there. However, like the finding the idol with like Mike White and Nick and making a big show of it and giving a fake one to Allison, like it was like the definition of cringe. The definition of cringe. And I think that's why a lot of other people like her. I don't know. I'm into cringe to some degree, but for some reason with Angelina, I'm not into it. But she does add an element that other people don't add. So if we're building a cast, she's actually really important to have. So I can't complain about her inclusion because it really rounds out what we're looking for. So I'm glad she's a part of it, but she is the second of 3 people from David vs. Goliath, which I think is probably too much from that season, but it is what it is, I guess. Angelina, welcome to the cast. And the third member of Team David vs. Goliath from the OG era is Mike White, the creator and writer of White Lotus. Like, I did not think that Mike White, who is objectively hilarious, I think he's really funny, a very good player. He was an awesome player in David vs. Goliath. I did not think he would spend his time to come back to Survivor, have a nice little vacation and a little trounce over to the Fiji in order to play Survivor once again. I guess that's what happens when everyone in the Survivor world wants to kiss your ass. You get kind of a free pass to go back to Fiji. Now, with that being said, even though I think they all want to kiss his ass, he's deserving. He was awesome. He was very good in David vs. Goliath, and he was really funny. The drinking wine memes are just consistent in the Survivor community. So I think that he was an awesome ad, and I think he could have the potential to do a lot of really good things in the game. Because quite frankly, all of the people that I've mentioned before, they're not very full of humor. Like Coach is unintentionally funny. Honestly, that's kind of it. Same thing with Christian, unintentionally funny. Angelina, unintentionally funny. But Mike White, he makes jokes and he's good at it. And the last one of the OGs, if we're talking about funny people, we got to add Rick Devens, baby. Rick Devens from Edge of Extinction. I am so excited about Rick Devens. There's like a corner of the internet that hates this guy's guts and did not want him on the season. And I don't understand why. I really don't. I'm watching Edge of Extinction and he did everything that I think you should if you're going to be a liked player. I think some people get upset the fact that he like dominated the season. Yeah, he did. And that's probably why you should like him. I mean, he did go to the Edge. He got voted out and went to the Edge. He came back. But when he came back, boy, did he maximize it. I mean, he won multiple immunity necklaces. He found multiple idols. And more importantly, he did something I've never seen anyone else do in the history of the game. He made 2 fake idols, and both idols were played at a tribal council, and they both whiffed on both of those plays. Like, how beautiful is it that you can plant 2 fake idols and the 2 people that pick them up play them in succession at the same tribal, both very confident that they're real. And then you, right after that, get to go, Jeff, I got the real one over here, buddy. Rick Devens did that. Never have I seen it before. Never will we probably ever see it again. And Rick Devens is responsible for that. Plus, he's just had a slew of incredibly funny moments, like this one right here at a challenge.
We've already lost 4 of the fittest people in this game. Devens, a sudden
5 of the fittest now.
Like, he's just funny. He's just funny. And having him in that mix of OG players and maybe mixed up among the new eras is going to be really important because he seems to still relatively be in shape. He had a good strategic mind. He just started off kind of on the wrong foot. And I think he's accomplished a lot, and he absolutely deserves the spot. It also doesn't hurt that he is one of 3 On Fire with Jeff Probst podcast guest hosts that are on this list. 3 of 4 made the list. Think about that as we go through this. All right, we're on to the new era, everybody. For the new era, we have an awesome slew of players. Most of them I expected, although there's a few pretty big omissions like Jesse and Carolyn. I expected them to be on here, but not the case. Doesn't matter though. This list is excellent. Very top heavy, but still very excellent. Speaking of top heavy, we got Survivor 42, Jonathan Young. Jonathan Young is awesome. Love that guy. He's been a guest on the channel before, and he's really funny. He's 100% authentic. I think he did the video with me sitting on the curb of like a 7-Eleven because he was out like fishing with a spear earlier that day, and he hadn't gotten home yet. Jonathan is one of the most physically imposing players to ever play Survivor. Not particularly good at puzzles, but he has played in the new era, and this is obviously going to be a new era game. He's pretty much a straight up loyalty, honesty. You look each other in the eye and you're going to have an alliance type of guy. It's possible there could be some trickery going on. He would have to change his game up a lot, I think, to have a different kind of presence. But I think he's certainly capable of it. I mean, he worked with some brilliant minds. Omer, Marianne, Mike Turner. He can do it all. But we just need to see it translate. And there's a lot of meat on this challenge. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jonathan versus some of these other folks, like good old Colby back in the day. See, Ozzy? Ozzy was well known as the greatest swimmer in the history of Survivor. But I gotta tell you, I think Jonathan is better. He was a college, like, all-American swimmer at the University of Alabama. And he still actively goes out and spearfishes for fun. So I think there's a possibility that we're going to see a cool swim-off between Jonathan and Ozzy, although Ozzy's a little bit older these days. And I'm really curious to see how that goes because it's like Survivor, like fantasy what if, right? Now let me push back on that for a second. The next up from Survivor 45 is Emily Flippen, the financial analyst, Emily Flippen. I never thought she would actually come back on Survivor, especially so quickly. I really didn't. When I saw the rumored list, I was like, oh, it's fans getting their hopes up. Obviously, we all want Emily. I want Emily so bad. And then when I saw her in the announcement, I said, I can't believe they got Emily. The last survivor of Lulu, the famous Lulu tribe. Obviously, we saw what she did in the new era. We saw her with her building relationships. That is not going to be a problem this time around. These are all returners. She already knows some of these people. And they, importantly, know her. Like, I'm just thinking about the possibility of Christian Hubicki and Emily Flippen sitting down and talking strategy on the beach. Think about that. How amazing is that going to be? You're going to have the opportunity to see legends chat it out with each other in the new era fast-paced game. We know what she can bring. Nothing's going to shake her. She's going to be great. She's going to be locked in. I cannot wait to see how Emily's going to do, because her transformation from day one of needing to be voted out of Lulu to all the way to the end when she got voted out around 7 or 8, it's incredible. It's one of the best that I've seen in a long time for a Survivor Castaway that I wasn't sure I was going to like, but I love Emily, and I hope she does amazing. And honestly, I think she's got a really good shot. And I say that without knowing the cast or anything, so we can't really make any kind of prediction, but I think Emily is going to be up there. And also from Survivor 45, Miss Big Toe herself, Big Toe with the big pockets, we got Dee Valladares, the winner of Survivor 45. I was really surprised Dee would come back for this. 2 reasons. One, I thought it was a surprise that they would bring back winners. But, you know, obviously she won, so I guess so. And 2, she had recently just got done being on MTV's The Challenge. And, like, historically, behind the scenes, it seems like production for CBS and Survivor don't really like bringing in people who do other things, like The Traders, for example, The Challenge, for example. But Dee's here, so it's surprising. I mean, obviously, Dee's great. Dee's in amazing shape. Dee's an amazing strategic thinker. She obviously is a little bit cold-hearted because she did the dirty to Austin like twice on Survivor 45, when supposedly he was her number 1 ally, I guess. They had 2 number 1s, whatever that bullshit means. She's primed to do well again, but the problem is I think she's going to be one of the number 1 targets in the game. Like, I don't think she's going to have any room to breathe. So personally, I think Dee better plan on having a quick trip back from Fiji, because she's probably going to be the biggest target on the New Era side, but maybe in the entire game, honestly. The only thing I wonder is if there's going to be one of the more chaotic players out there, Q. I think Q would possibly use Dee as some kind of a major shield and manipulate things the way he possibly can to further himself in the game. He's chaotic and kooky enough to get that to happen. And Dee, unfortunately, I think it's going to be largely her role as a shield, as a target. But God forbid, if that woman gets any kind of steam and traction in this game, it's going to be over. And next up on the New Era tribe from Survivor 46, I just mentioned him a second ago, you can cancel Christmas because we got Q on the Survivor 50 cast. Q is an all-time character. I did not think it was going to be that way for Survivor 46, but all he did was go out there and make quotable moments, make big moments, like his confessionals where he just says, big mistake. I love it. Let's bring it back. Not overly good in challenges, but he's good enough. He's going to contribute. He's a good strategic thinker. It seems like he can go a little off the wall at different times with, you know, kind of asking to be voted out, I think twice on Survivor 46. Hopefully that doesn't repeat itself, because people like Dee are going to say, oh yeah, I'll vote you out. No problem. No problem at all. And by the way, there's a part of me that really badly wants Dee and Q to have an alliance so they can call it the DQ Alliance. That's probably not cool to anyone but me, but it makes me think of Dairy Queen. So yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Q's known for his chaotic gameplay, but obviously he can do really well with this cast, especially the newbies. I'm very excited to have him on the cast. I think it's going to be a really fun time. If you didn't have Q, it wouldn't feel as legitimate. The next up, also from Survivor 46, the final co-host from On Fire with Jeff Probst, we have Charlie joining Dee and Rick Devens as the other co-host on season 50. Charlie got second place in season 46, and everyone knows him best for being cruelly cast out because Maria did not vote for him in the final tribal council, where the pettiest of Kensies conquered him and won the game. And Charlie's going to be back with his green and blue Freddy Krueger polo shirt, and he's looking to get revenge on everyone out there. Will he? I actually don't know. Charlie's an interesting case because he's a flexible player in a group of large personalities. That's why he got to the end of Survivor 46, because there were so many other big personalities going on. He could be the recessive one while other people were more dominant. And I'm curious if he's going to try to do the same thing. The problem is I hope he doesn't do that, because if he were to get to the finals with the same kind of tactic, people aren't going to know his game. So they're probably not going to vote for him. So let's see if he can mix this up a little bit. The only thing I ask is no more Taylor Swift lyrics. Please stop. I can't do it. I can't handle it. No more T Swift. Or I pray to God the others be Swift and get you voted out of this game, okay? So stop it. And the last one from Survivor 46, this was actually a big shock for a lot of people, but if you really think about it, it's not that big of a shock. We have Tiffany from Survivor 46 on the famous Yanu tribe, worked with Q a lot, worked with Kenzie a lot. Tiffany was a lot of people's winners picks before the season even began. And truthfully, I think she proved everyone right as to why she was their pick, including myself, because she had, physical prowess. She dealt with difficult conversations pretty well. She didn't take bullshit. She was able to baby Banu just enough before it became ridiculous. Tiffany has a lot of tools going for her. Honestly, I think she's at the right threat level among this group of where she can blend in while also being just as dangerous as any one of them. If there's a person that I was going to pick in this cast, if we were to relate it to Survivor Cambodia, this is the Kelly Wentworth of Survivor 50. She's the person that did well in the original season, but can do really well in the follow-up season. So Tiffany, I have all the faith in the world she's going to do well this season. Next up from Survivor 47, the solo pick from that season, which I'm very sad about, no Andy, is Genevieve. Genevieve was awesome in the beginning of the game. Everyone was like, who is this Where's Waldo looking chick? Why is she here? When is she getting voted out? But by the time we got to episode 4, everyone was like, yo, Genevieve came to play and she never stopped the rest of the game. She tore it up. She's one of the founding members of Operation Italy. She executed that. She found and she destroyed. Unfortunately, she came up short in Survivor 47, but people have been clamoring for their mother Genevieve ever since then. And luckily, Survivors decided to grace us with the presence of Genevieve once again. And I think she's going to do well. She's a person that would strategize super well, especially with some old heads, I think, like Aubrey Bracco or Chrissy Hoffbeck. I can see it already. Honestly, I can. But she's going to be a threat to those people as well, so I can imagine they'd be afraid and boot her out kind of early. I hope that's not the case, because she plays kind of a low-key game and she's good at assessing from afar. But I have a lot of faith that she could do really well. And wrapping up the New Era cast, because there are 2 unknowns from Survivor 49 I'm not really going to talk about, even though if you want to Google around, you can find out who the 2 are and basically spoil season 49 for yourself. We have Kamilla from Survivor 48. Kamilla, we all know, she just lost recently in firemaking to Eva. She lost in the final 4. She brought on very late in the game with her buddy and her ally, Kyle. Eventually, they realized they had to go at each other, and Kyle won immunity and threw her into the fire. And she may have won the game had she advanced to the final tribal council, because she was making some serious moves. She had a great pitch. She's a fast thinker. She's really funny, good with people. And I think she's going to do well this time around. She's the other candidate to be like the Kelly Wentworth. Although, Kamilla made final 4, so she did pretty well the first time. I have a lot of faith she's going to do super well. Although I don't have as much faith about the next person from Survivor 48, which is her good buddy, Kyle, the winner of season 48. I'm shocked he's back for 2 reasons. One, just like Dee, I didn't think they would bring back another winner for season 48. So I was a little surprised by that. But I think Kyle may be the best winner of the New Era. I'm not sure. I mean, it's so tough. Again, I don't like to compare, but he played a perfect middle game, just like Kamilla. And he found a way to get to the end. He used Joe and Eva to get there. And he was so well insulated all around. This time around, he's got a huge target on his back. Everyone knows he won the game. Is he going to be able to just get by like last time by being nice and being low key? But if there's a winner between the 2 of them, Dee and Kyle, I think Kyle's going to make it. He's got all the skills you need to win the game. He's super nice. He's personable. He's got a good temper. He can talk. He's a lawyer. That's not going to be a surprise this time around. I think he could do really well in the game. But again, he's got a giant winner-sized target on his back. And the last known member from season 48, Joe. Everyone loves Joe, the emotional fireman who helped out Eva the entire season. I think the first question that most people have is, who is Joe without Eva? And I think that's a big question. Obviously, Joe is a lot of things. He's more than just Eva, and Eva's more than just Joe. But they're always linked from episode 1 of season 48. And the question is, how does he play when he doesn't have her? Will he go into this honesty and loyalty strong man alliance thing? Will he hook up with a Colby? With a Jonathan Young? With a coach? Will they try to do the strength and honor thing? I hope not. I genuinely hope not. I hope Joe doesn't do that. But it's so fresh in Joe's mind. I can't imagine he would become devious. I can't imagine he would flip the script and start being against his instincts. I just can't see it, because I think it's a part of his DNA. I just don't know how he's going to get around that. And it's going to be a problem because you have killers here who are ready to shank each other at any moment. Jenna Lewis will smile as she shanks this guy. So I really, really, really hope, because I love Joe. I love Joe. If you watch this channel, you know I hyped Joe up all season 48. I love you, buddy. Please, please get the killer instinct to win the game, and then you may have a shot. But if you don't, I'm afraid you won't, because these are some serious sharks out here. I believe you can make it to the end of the game. I just don't know if you can win unless you turn that corner, buddy. So I really would like him to take a moment, really absorb what happened in the last few weeks, not let it mess with his head too much, and just go like, you know what? This is a business trip. Go Brian Heidick about it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take care of business. And I hope that's what Joe does. And like I said, there are 2 people from Survivor 49. If you really want to go out and look, you can find out who those people are. It's probably going to spoil for you that they at least did well in the game. So I'd be cautious. I'm actually annoyed that I know who they are now, but still. But overall, amazing cast. No matter what anyone on the internet tells you, none of these Joe Bazooka losers, this is a great cast. I'm dying to see some of these connections. Christian Hubicki and Emily talking on the beach. Jonathan Young and Joe and Ozzy facing off in a challenge. We get to see Coach talk to the inventor of the Q skirt. Q on the beach about strategy. This is like a wet dream for so many fans. They lie in bed and they think about, oh my God, what if Coach and Q were to talk? Okay, that was a weird impression, but you know what I mean. I mean, Dee and Stephenie, it was almost like the new era and old school counterparts. Kamilla and Aubry in a strategy session. I mean, come on, this is what it's made of. Because I have to say, as a word of caution, if you have a problem with this cast, it's a good one. And there's a long-standing tradition as an old head. I'm 35 years old. I've been a fan of Survivor since I was like, Survivor Africa since I was like 11 or 12. I have to tell you, every returning season that's ever happened, there's always been problems. There's always people that are on the cast people didn't want. There's always been people who made the cast that were a really big surprise. It only makes more room for legends to grow. Boston Robin Marquesas was a punk who didn't make the jury. He got on All Stars. He's a legend. Kelly Wentworth did okay on Survivor San Juan del Sur. Went on Cambodia. She's a legend. So yeah, like you can sit here and scoff at someone like Jonathan Young being from 42, but what if he goes out there and kicks absolute ass and becomes somehow a strategic mastermind? Or Tiffany from 46. You go like, wow, Tiffany? Yeah, Tiffany. I think she could win the game. How about that? So remember, we have to see how the game plays out. Each game is different. One of these people that's an all-timer, they're going to be the first one out, because each game you shake the Etch-a-Sketch and it's different. And I can't wait to get shaken. But that's going to do it for kind of my quick recap of the Survivor 50 cast now that we know it's official. I'm going to do more stuff kind of going to their games throughout the summer, and also maybe post some clips of why I think they made it, which is going to be great. And my proposed tribe mix-up for the upcoming season, because it'll probably be 3 tribes of 8, which means they can't do new era versus old school. But they'll probably do like half and half, which I think is a good idea, because you don't want one era to have the edge on another. And then you also have to ask yourself, for season 49, no one has seen their season. They may know the results, I guess, because season 49 castaways came back like 2 weeks ago. So they're going to have to figure out, is the season 49 anonymity going to help those players, or is it going to hurt them? Just make them targets right away. Russell Hantz, he was the target right away on Heroes versus Villains because he had just got done Samoa. So it could really go either way, and I think it's going to be interesting to talk about. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comment section who you're most excited to see, maybe even your tribe divisions, and who you're really upset missed the cut. Otherwise, hope you have an amazing day, everyone. You take care, and goodbye.